Yes, I've lived across Europe. I was originally born in Israel, and I guess I've had a sort of outside view of Europe looking in, but I've always really enjoyed the cultural richness of it. I've very much resonated with the values that led to the establishment of the European Union, and I certainly feel European having grown up here. I would say when I was a child, driving across an open border without needing to stop for a passport check, without even seeing, any fences or checkpoints or stops or anything like that. That's definitely different from other parts of the world, and that really brought home to me what it means to have an open, free and safe society to live in. And that was a very European moment. I think we're going through some very difficult times at the moment, and of course, all the suffering that is being brought about by COVID is tragic. We've seen some really difficult times in the last decade or so, I would say. For me, the formative moment in terms of the worst and what has led us down this path of challenge and difficulty was really the financial crisis and the fact that it was never really resolved. We had a Eurozone break, essentially, where the North was divided from the South with this kind of false narrative and this fiction around we're giving them our money, this sort of unnecessary crisis that was prolonged for longer and longer and created this sort of lost generation in a way, which was around the time that I was at university as well, and which then also sowed the seeds for a lot of the nationalism, populism, and a lot of these threats that we've seen. And I think also the refugee crisis that unfolded later on because of this European paralysis and having to surrender to xenophobia in some way was a sort of a continuing unfolding tragedy that we have to face. And now with the corona crisis that we're seeing, if we really delve into solving this crisis and addressing it head on, we might be able to also address some of these other underlying problems that have dragged on from the Eurozone crisis. I think for me, the ongoing, success of the European Union as an institution that lives day by day and, has a European elections recently that had the highest voter turnout ever. That was a really good moment. And something that we should cherish, the fact that we have these democratic societies that are getting along day in and day out. That's fantastic and something we should build on. And I hope that for the next European elections, we'll have an even higher voter turnout than we had for the last one. Was essentially to give me an idea of what a prosperous, peaceful and diverse society look like. And I think the EU doesn't get enough credit for just how peaceful and prosperous and successful Western Europe has been since World War II overall, since the EU has come about. I think this is something that we should cherish more, and we should also make sure that the European Union delivers on that promise of prosperity and peace and dialogue and success for the people that live here. And, as soon as the EU dropped the ball on that with the financial crisis and maybe some of the concerns leading up to it, we saw that there was discontent, and this is something we really need to resolve. I think the most urgent priority by far is becoming carbon neutral by 2030. This is a global human emergency. It's not the planet that we need to save, it's us, and it's not our children or our children's children, but it's anyone who's alive today under the age of 80 years old or so. The climate change is happening right now. Now, we're only going to be able to address climate change or the refugee crisis or all of these geopolitical issues if we have a functioning democratic Europe. So we need to be able to create a civic space in Europe, a public sphere in Europe that really activates citizens to get involved in European affairs. And we need to reform European institutions so that we have a commission that is properly and fully accountable to an all-empowered European Parliament. And we need a fully transparent Council of Ministers that is accountable to the Parliament, accountable to the people of Europe, and that has proper democratic decision making in place. And we need European institutions to have the economic capacity to act, to really generate a fully clean, carbon neutral economy with high quality jobs that really delivers on the promise of prosperity for all these emerging technologies, where we could really have a very bright future together as Europeans on this continent. We just need to build it together. So all in all, this is something that we can only achieve through civic education, civic engagement, enabling people to participate, especially those that are facing obstacles and those that are facing marginalization. We need to really use the technologies that we have. Civic tech and other key words like that are things that we need to talk more about, and we need to really mobilize to build the future that we would like to live in.